You are now listening to the OVERTHUNK podcast. Hello there.
Hey.
It's 10 p.m. on a Saturday. Sunny.
It is.
Cape Town, South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
I've just finished a gin and tonic.
Not for me, I'm driving.
Keegan's driving. He had a glass of water. If you're wondering why we're on this couch, uncomfortably close together. Too close together.
Wrong podcast, bro.
Wrong podcast? I'll save that for the other one. We're here because today we're talking about our top 10 albums of 2017. So I'd like to formally welcome you to the OVERTHUNK podcast.
Yeah, welcome everybody. I mean, 2017, pretty trash year overall, but damn, musically on point.
On point.
Yeah.
I'm inclined to agree with you. I think it was a pretty good year.
Great year.
2016 was a great year.
2016 was a great year, but personally, I think 2017 just about topped.
You think it was better?
Musically, at least. Yeah.
Musically.
Yeah, definitely.
Because coming into 2017, I was a bit worried about it.
Yeah.
2016 was great. We got a lot of hits.
We got a lot of hits. Yeah, we did. And there were some highly anticipated albums for 2017. You know, Kendrick released, as always. There was a lot of hype around that.
As always? He released every year.
I mean,
there's always a Kendrick album.
There's always hype for a Kendrick album, is what I meant to say. But yeah, great year overall. Can't complain about quality. And lots of quantity too.
Quantity too?
Yeah.
True.
Which is why these lists are so hard.
So tough to do.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest problem with, just speaking about that Kendrick hype.
Yeah.
The hype nowadays can get a little bit
out of hand because it comes from so many avenues. I mean, there's social media. There's just so many ways to hype up an album. And yeah, living up to that hype is probably one of the biggest challenges for these artists.
Yeah. I think there may be a couple of albums that I don't like that I maybe would have been okay with if they hadn't been so overhyped.
Yeah. 100%.
But we're not here to talk about how much hype albums got.
Absolutely not.
We're here to talk about what our favorite albums are. Quick disclaimer.
Yes.
We're not music critics. We're not reviewers.
Nope.
We're simply tastemakers.
Indeed.
I don't know if we're allowed to call ourselves tastemakers yet, but I'm calling it. I'm looking into the future.
That makes us sound a lot fancier than we are.
It does. But everybody's got to be... Everyone puts on a suit when they go on the first date.
This is true.
You don't wear a suit every day.
No.
You're in boxer shorts and a wife beater.
You're literally in boxers.
I am. Boxer shorts and a wife beater with tomato sauce stains on it. But we put on that suit, and I'm putting on that suit today. We're tastemakers, and we're going to tell you our favorite albums. They're not necessarily the best albums.
Yes, and they're very subjective.
Super subjective.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that Keegan's list is going to be very different from mine.
Yes. There will be some overlap, of course.
Yeah, we may be very similar mentally, physically, emotionally.
Yeah.
We both wear glasses, but yet our lists will be different.
Yeah.
But probably, overlapping in a couple of places.
Indeed.
Just to start us off, are there any albums that almost made your list, that were so good that they almost got into your top 10?
Goodness me. Well, I mean, like we said, these lists are so tough because of the quantity. And there were a few albums that I had to struggle with. That 10th place was really tough to narrow down. So on my honorable mentions list, I've got Daniel Caesar, Freudian.
Oh.
Yeah. Look, I know how you feel about this album. I know you loved it. But I couldn't bring myself to put it on my list simply because the highs are super high. Everything else for me was a bit middling. And that's down to personal taste. Like we discussed the other day, this isn't an album for everyone. I don't think it would appeal to, a very wide audience. I think... compared to some other R&B albums that we got this year, I think his target was a bit more niche than most. So yeah, that's definitely one of my honorable mentions, but I assume he's on your list, so we'll get more into discussing that album a bit later.
Is he? You'll have to listen to find out. But I definitely do disagree with you on that one.
Oh, for sure.
In any case.
All right, and then also got Grizzly Bear, Painted Ruins, which was originally on my list, but had to take off because of another album, and upon re-listening to it. Then
Interesting, because I know how much you love Grizzly Bear.
Yeah,
as
I
well.
do. But this is an interesting point, though, because I got into Grizzly Bear this year. And I think the reason why I love this album so much was because I viewed their discography as a whole. And that skewed my opinion a little bit. So you had their second album, I think, is, I don't even know how to say it, Vecatimist, I don't know how to say it.
Vecatimist,
Vecatimist!
I think.
Is it? Okay.
Vecatimist,
All right.
yeah.
And then there's Shields after that, and those two albums are both great. And I listened to this album shortly after I'd listened to those for the first time. And any of those albums, I think I'd probably be able to put on this list. But this one isn't quite up there with those.
So it was originally riding the highs of the previous albums.
Yes, exactly. And these are the types of biases that you have to get rid of when you're making a list like this. So yeah, there's that. And then Miguel. Miguel. I really wanted to love this album. Like, we had some anticipation
we did.
for this album. The singles were really good, all of them. And, you know, judging by that, I thought this would be his best album. But it didn't turn out that way. I still love a great amount of tracks on this album. But yeah, overall, not his best.
Yeah, I'm there with you. Miguel I was also really looking forward to after those singles. And especially coming off of, I didn't like the previous album. Is it Wild Heart?
Yes, Wild Heart.
I really didn't enjoy Wild Hearts.
Yeah.
I think I listened to it maybe twice, and after that I just couldn't anymore.
Yeah.
Made me so sad. Massive Miguel fan, as are you.
Yes.
And I was so skeptical when that Skywalker single dropped.
Yeah.
Until I played it, and it was just so good.
Yes.
Followed by, what was the second
Told
one?
You So.
Told You So.
Told You So.
Oh, just it just kept getting better with the
channeling
singles.
his Prince there, yeah.
And then, yeah, the album didn't quite hit it for me either.
Yeah, those are definitely, the singles were definitely the four best, you know, songs
highlights.
of the album. Yeah. And then my final honorable mention, Scissor, which, it's probably, you'll see it on so many critic lists.
It's true.
Like,
It's true.
this album got a lot of hype. But yeah, ultimately, I just don't think it was quite good enough for my list itself.
Yeah.
Really good album, though. And an improvement on her mixtape. What was it? Z?
Z, yeah.
Definite improvement over that,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
And yeah, some personal lyricism, some great production. But yeah, ultimately not quite good enough for the list. Yeah. Your HMs?
Mine, my list is a little bit longer. But
You've been listening to a lot of music this year, bro.
I have, but I'll keep it quite short. I listened to a little bit less music this year than I did last year. Just for the folks at home, to our probably 2 listeners. I used to be a pizza delivery guy.
Yeah.
I used to be driving a lot. I used to play album after album, and I don't do that anymore.
But I mean, you still get a good amount of listen time when you're at work, don't you?
Yes, that's true. But a lot of it isn't as focused as I would like, being that I'm totally working all the time if my boss is listening to this podcast. Never wasting time on the internet.
No, definitely not. Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
But in any case, my honorable mentions, I've got Action Bronson, Blue Chip 7000.
Okay.
I do love Action Bronson, but a lot of the reason I love him is because of who he is. He's a fun guy.
Yeah.
He's got his cooking shows. His personality is great. His music videos are great.
Art from the artist, eh?
Yeah. And I gotta say, most of his projects have always been a fun listen, and then I put it back on the shelf and go back to my go-tos for that year.
Definitely.
Not so with Blue Chip 7000. I found myself coming back to this album again and again. But upon reflection, I realized it was when I was cooking, when I was gymming, you know, taking out the trash.
Yeah.
It's not a trash album. That was a weird reference. But it was just a very in-between album, which I think is why it got so much of my playtime.
For sure.
Another one I have to throw in, Alex Cameron. His album called Forced Witness.
Okay.
It sounds like an 80s pop album that should be on a Stranger Things soundtrack.
Okay.
But it was dropped this year. It's a bit cliched on first listen. So you delve a little bit deeper into the lyrics and you hear some of the most depraved kind of dark humor, which is really up my street.
Okay.
I liked it.
Yes,
I found myself laughing a
up your
lot,
street.
but just doesn't really crack a top 10.
On that, speaking of dark humor, no pure comedy, Father John Misty for you?
No. No, it's not there. It didn't...
Nah, yeah. I loved his previous album. I just think that musically, I just wasn't in it for this one. Like, yeah, I get the political message, like, through and through. Definitely appreciate what he was doing with that. But musically, I guess I wanted a bit more.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh, no, of course. I'm also, one-trick ponies aren't my thing. No, not to say that Father John Misty's bad.
Yeah.
He's, got some interesting work out. I can listen to him. But that album seemed like it was just one thing.
Yeah, that's true.
If that one thing isn't exactly what you want at that moment in time, then probably not going to go back to
100%.
it. I myself am more of the escapist type.
Yes.
I look at the Donald Trumps and the Brexits of this world, and I choose to escape into great music, good movies, a good book. Not as much as I used to with the books, but that's where I'm at.
Okay.
And sometimes a bit might be much over muchness with the political messages. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Another one of mine was Jay-Z, 444.
Okay.
I am not a Jay-Z fan.
No.
At all.
That makes two of us.
I think a big reason is that I'm just too young.
Yeah.
And that's when I got into Jay-Z.
You missed his prime, I guess.
Not even that, because there are a lot of artists who we missed their prime due to age, but we can go back and still made a huge impact. And, it just... I wasn't into the persona. I wasn't into the subject matter.
Yeah.
And just nothing was grabbing me. There were some cool beats. He had some cool lines.
Yeah.
Not the greatest wordsmith, of our time by any stretch of the imagination, but he had some cool stuff.
Yeah.
Never really hit it for me until, Watch the Throne.
Whoa.
And
that is very late.
It's super
in his career.
late. And that was, half Kanye anyway, who I'm a big fan of.
Yes.
So, and then
that was all Kanye.
all Kanye. Oh, Jay-Z had some great
bars.
bars.
I'm just joking. Yeah.
On that project, and then Magna Carta, Holy Grail, just an abomination, a blight on the name of Jonathan Carter. That's his name, right? I'm getting that right.
Yeah,
I hope so. Yeah. I'm sorry, Hove, if I got it wrong.
That just shows that you're not a big Jay-Z fan.
But 444 was such an honest, most personal, look into Jay-Z we've ever gotten over just some great beats.
Yeah, and no ID spazzed on that. Yeah, for sure.
No ID destroyed every single one of those tracks. I saw an interview with him, and he said all the samples came from a library and a playlist of music that Jay-Z had been listening to during, the tumultuous times that came before the album.
Yeah.
And that seems like just an anecdotal tidbit, but that's so cool because I feel like you feel it.
Yes,
because
you do.
Whatever Jay-Z was thinking, it made him want to listen to this music. And then he was taking things from that music and putting that back into the music he was making. And those beats fit those songs. Those songs are amazing. The story of OJ, 440, the title track.
Yeah.
Oh, so great. But I didn't find myself listening to it very much.
Yes.
I listened to it and I was like, wow, this is great. Jay-Z putting out, what is, in my opinion, his best album. So late in the game as well. For an artist to change and to grow this much so late in their career is impressive on its own. But I wasn't listening to it. And just by that fact, I couldn't put it on my top 10
That's ultimately why it's not even in my honorable mentions, is because I listened to it once, I appreciated it, and I never came back to it.
Yeah. Keegan, you and I, we don't bow to the public.
No, definitely not.
Yeah? If you guys think it's all great, it's good for you, but for me, I just wasn't going back to it.
Yeah.
And then I've got to say, Open Mike Eagle.
Oh. Oof, I'm surprised this isn't even on your list.
Yeah. Open Mike Eagles.
You're about an open mic stan. I think you're close.
Oh, I don't know if I'm a stan.
I think you're close.
But I might be his biggest fan in the greater Cape Town area, I think.
Okay.
Possibly South Africa. No, that's bold. But, but yeah, this album is so great and so meaningful. And it tugs on the heartstrings. And it just the concept is great. But
Ooh.
I like how fun and whimsical Open Mike Eagle can be, and that's one of the biggest draws for me to his music. And not that he doesn't have some good lines and some quirky wordplay, but his beat selection on this project
Let you down?
It didn't let me down, but it turned this album into a mood album.
Okay, and that's not what you want from him.
Not that I wanted from not even that. I just didn't find myself in that mood very often.
Okay.
So I didn't find myself spinning the album very often.
Okay.
When I did, it's not to say I didn't like it, but I did find myself out of the mood and not finishing the album.
True. Okay.
Which has to be, you know, a factor that will make something lose points for me personally.
On a subjective list, definitely.
Yeah. And I'm not taking anything away from Mike. Definitely a great project.
Yeah.
Just some quick fire mentions. Jordan Rakei, Wallflower.
Okay.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. I don't know. For some reason, I just couldn't bring myself to put him above any of the albums that I had on my list. Napalm. Needlepaw. My girl Napalm.
You were raving about this album.
I was raving about it. Her first solo album, after that beautiful Choose Your Weapon album from Hiatus Coyote.
Yeah.
It's a great listen, start to finish. But again, it's very, very much an acoustic, soulful, not introspective, but emotional ride, and I didn't find myself needing that very often. I will come back to this album probably for many, many years to come.
It's interesting how much of a role that plays in choosing your favorite albums. Mm-hmm. Like, how much you come back to it. Because, I mean, like, there are some albums that you know are really great, but because you don't find yourself in that mood too often, you just can't come back to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I guess Steve Lacy. Steve Lacy's demo.
Yeah, okay.
The only reason that's not on here, because in my opinion it's perfect, is that it's an EP. It's super short.
Yeah.
I can't very well put that on a top 10 albums list.
Yeah.
Just because it's not very much content, and who's to say whether Steve could have put out a full project of that quality.
Okay.
I mean, he would probably say no. That's why he put out the demo, because he didn't have enough songs to put out an album. So
One to watch.
Yeah. He's, whet my appetite. Mm-hmm. I've dipped my wick. And I'm excited to dip again into Steve. Wiki, No Mountains in Manhattan. I love Brooklyn rappers, man. There's just something about the sound, the grit, their vibe. Just gets me there. Such a fun album. Wiki's really cool. I'm definitely going to be following him. But same as Action Bronson, I found myself just coming back to this album because it was fun, just here and there. But a lot of the time I wasn't even really listening. It's really great to have in the background there. Yeah. All right. And then Yellow Days, Is Everything Okay in Your World?
That's a great album.
It is a great album. It was so timely because I had just stumbled upon Yellow Days through my sister, actually. And he had just had an EP out. And I really liked it. I was jamming it. And then I found out he was dropping an album. I got so excited and I listened to it. And it's really, really good. And I have nothing bad to say about it except for when I'm in the mood for this kind of album, I usually put on King Cruel. And it's very difficult to knock King Cruel off of a pedestal. Okay. And that's why he's not on the list. Only reason. I would recommend everyone listen to his album. Of course. But, yeah.
As we do all these albums we speak of.
Oh, of course.
Listen to them all, folks, if you haven't.
If you haven't, everyone needs more music in their life.
For sure.
People don't listen to enough albums as well.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Is how it goes nowadays.
Yeah. Singles, that's it, you know?
And as great as singles are, artists are making albums to be listened to.
And how many times have you found it that when you've heard a single before, but you put it into the context of the album, how much more you enjoy it?
Ooh, there's one of those in my list.
Oh, I know there is.
That I know is in your list too, and we will be talking about it.
Yeah,
but we'll get there.
All right,
we'll get there. I think for this list, the format we've decided is we're both going to simultaneously go down
our
item by
lists.
item,
yeah,
on our respective lists until we get to number one.
All right.
Would you like to do the honors with your...
I will start.
All right.
Okay, in at number 10, Everything, A Fever Dream.
Ooh.
Whew. Late addition to my list. While I'm a big Everything fan.
You are?
I love them. I really do.
You introduced me to Everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any one of their other projects would have been higher on this list.
Oh.
Any one of them. Absolutely any one of them.
Even their debut, Man Alive.
Okay, maybe not. Man Alive.
Okay.
But Ark and Get to Heaven, easily would be top 7, top 8 on this list. I just found that this album was fantastic, but it wasn't as punchy as those albums were. There was some, they like Can't Do. That's classic Everything. That's everything at their best. But yeah, I loved it, start to finish. There were some moments where I lost a little bit of interest, but the title track, oh my word, the title track is fantastic. It's moody. It's everything I want from a song in this genre.
Mm-hmm. And that title track, for me, set the stage for
that
entire
it's the centerpiece of the album, if we're being honest. Yeah. Which is what a title track should be.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Our insights are just really... You're going to learn things tonight, folks. Anyway.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. And then your number 10 is?
My number 10 is Thundercat.
Ooh.
Drunk.
Okay.
I loved this album. Well, obviously I love this album.
Of course.
It's in my top 10.
It's in your top 10, so... that's it.
Thundercat's great.
Yeah.
We've loved Thundercat since we came across Thundercat, and outside
again,
of his
great insight.
Oh man. And outside of his solo projects, Thundercat has had his fingerprints on so much great music lately. Such a big hand in my favorite rap album of all time. Which is also
you might have heard of it. Yeah, you might have.
You might have heard of it. It's also the best rap album of all time at me. It's To Pimp a Butterfly, and without Thundercat, that album is completely different.
Yeah. Kendrick himself can't stress enough,
right,
about what a big role Thundercat actually played in this album.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and his collaborations with Flying Lotus and a whole bunch of other people.
He's on every Flying Lotus project I can think of.
Yeah, definitely. Just absolutely perfect. His bass playing is just another level.
Yeah.
If we think about people who play bass, there aren't a lot of bassists out there right now who are as good as Thundercat. The ones who are as good as Thundercat don't get those kind of sounds out of a bass. He plays a 6-string bass. Whoa, I'm throwing facts out that I'm not sure about. Either a 6 or a 5-string, but either way, he plays a bass with more strings. I don't know what kind of pedals he's using.
Yeah.
But he obviously sold his soul in order to acquire them because the sounds that he can get out of those thick-ass strings, man.
Fantastic.
No one else can do that. He also uses the bass as a lead instrument, which you don't hear very often, and it's not annoying.
Okay.
Because it very easily could be.
You found that annoying in other albums?
Some of the other, bass heavy. Not that I can, name a lot off the top of my head, but course. It tends to get a bit much sometimes when the bass is too much. Not here, not at all. Then you put on top of that the fact that he's singing over this, in that no one else can do Thundercat falsetto.
It's that type of voice that doesn't really exist in our landscape anymore. It was rife in like the 80s.
Yeah. But right now he's probably the only cat doing it.
Yeah.
And I think
the only cat doing it.
I was literally waiting this whole podcast to make that joke. But he's the most talented in his field.
Yeah,
I believe. And another thing that makes Thundercat so great is how kind of wild and energetic and all over the place he is, and you can totally feel that on this album.
Yeah.
He dances around, goes from here and there, different sounds, different messages, different vibes.
Yeah.
To go from Black with 3 Ks which is like a Black Lives Matter support anthem,
Yeah.
straight to Tokyo, which is a song about his love of Japanese culture and anime.
Those two mold into each other.
And it's not jarring. It's not a weird shift.
Somehow it isn't. Yeah.
Perfect. That's just great for me.
Yeah.
And it's a part of why I love this album just so much. The Michael McDonald and Kenny Loggins feature on
Show You the Way.
Show You the Way.
Yeah.
Oh, so great. Kendrick's feature.
Oof.
So great. The only reason that this is number 10
I was about to ask you, why is it this low?
on my list, after waxing lyrical about this album for a couple
sounds like
minutes,
the perfect album. Yeah.
I have to say that, 23 tracks is too long. I like tight, compact albums that don't have a lot of fluff.
Okay.
And I hear you, audience, saying, there's so many.
Guys.
The two guys listening. I hear you saying, there's so many interludes on that album. That's not 23 full tracks. Even a short interlude doesn't add to the album. For me, it's fluff and serves to start pulling me out of the album. Gets me out of where I am. And 23, it's a long runtime too.
23 tracks, 52 minutes?
That's
not all that long, man. I don't know. It's funny you mention Thundercat Drunk, because it is number 9 on my list.
Oh.
So it's up next.
Okay.
And why it's on my list and why I love it so much is it's just such a throwback as well in parts. Like that Show You the Way track that you mentioned. It's just bringing the best out of legends that our parents grew up with. And just his style overall, his vocals, it reminds me a lot of that era. And, I can't really fault this album too much. Except that it loses a little bit of steam towards the end. It does get some good, probably Wiz Khalifa's best contribution to the world in general.
Still wanna party? Yeah, it's the one.
Yeah,
great feature.
like that's a great track. The track Friend Zone as well.
Oh yes.
I mean, it's pretty surface level lyricism there, but damn, that track bumps. Like it really is. It's great.
It must be said, the humor that he's able to bring,
yes, man,
without being cheesy, is
somehow not
on the
being
level.
cheesy.
Yeah.
Well, the second track, Captain Stupido.
Yes. Yeah. Of course.
Just running us through a day in the life of Thundercat, and it's pretty disgusting, but it's great.
Disgusting and great. It's Chipotle.
And then obviously them changes, which we heard on his EP before this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was about to bring that up because it usually annoys me when an artist releases something on an EP or, a different release, and then I get it again on another project.
Yeah.
Because usually I've already heard it in the context of whatever project it was in.
Yeah.
Or, just played it out, if you will. And then I have a fresh album and then this one track that's glaringly familiar to my ears, and I kind of detune, but not for this, probably because Them Changes is just a 5-star perfect track.
And again, that the fact that it's such a throwback because it basically bites the drums off that Isley Brothers track. But oh my goodness, the spin he puts on it is fantastic. And like, great album, absolutely great.
Yeah. And I mean, speaking of cheese, when you think of cheesy stuff, that era
is cheese.
Is the most cheese.
Yes.
And yet, channeling that and bringing that quirky humor that he's got, he's able to have absolutely no cheese, just a perfect mix. He's hit that equilibrium so well.
Yeah, 100%.
And even on his previous projects, and he's never lost it. Like, all of his stuff is great to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, great addition to his discography too.
Oh. I guess this is the Thundercat podcast, Mike.
All right. So your number 9.
Well, my number 9 is a track. Well, a track?
A track?
It's not a
It's
track.
just a one track?
My number 9 is not a track. My number 9 is one of your honorable mentions. It's Daniel Caesar's debut, Freudian.
There we go.
I absolutely love this album. I am still a little bit annoyed with you that you don't love it as much as me.
This might be our only podcast.
Yeah, you've lost 5 friend points just for not loving this. Oh man, I don't know where to start. It's so great to hear this type of music from someone so young. Mm-hmm. It's so great to hear this type of music from someone from Canada. I joke. Canada's actually been putting out some pretty good music lately.
It has.
But it's so good. It's so soulful. It's got these great gospel elements. The gospel, for me, is part of what makes this album so interesting, is that there's this really cool dichotomy of like, there's gospel and choral arrangements and choirs and this like church organs, and then there's these like crude 19-year-old sexual desires and just carnal lyrics going on, and
pretty much just sums up the church, doesn't it?
Yeah, all right. Getting the real topics tonight. No, but it's that something about friction can make something exciting, and especially in R&B, which is one of our favorite genres, but a genre that is getting slightly stale.
Ooh, that's an interesting take.
Not in that R&B is becoming bad by any stretch of the imagination, but we're very much leaning towards this kind of dark, moody alt R&B lately.
Ooh, that's true. Yeah,
just that being, what's more popular now, and to hear someone so young go on their own mission out to gospel R&B land and really, really knock it out of the park.
Yeah,
in my opinion, we heard "Get You." Way before the album.
Yeah.
It was out quite a while before.
I remember we heard that for the first time together. Yeah.
We did.
Yeah. We just got sucked into a YouTube
YouTube recommendation. Yeah. And Get You is just a triumph. Oof. It is, in my opinion, going to be the love song of people of color for years. When you're at a white wedding and you hear Thinking Out Loud, know that we'll be playing Get You at our weddings, because it is a beautiful... We're both brown, by the way. I don't know if there's going to be a picture on the thumbnail of this podcast, but...
there has to be now.
Now there has to be, I guess. But that is just the quintessential love song. Okay. I'll go out on a limb and say it's the best love song written in the last 5 years.
Woo!
Possibly 10. Possibly 10. Oof. That is...
That's a debate I wasn't ready for, so I don't have some ammunition to fire back at you right now. But.
Partly my plan, because now I sound like you can't even argue with it just because you didn't know it was coming. But it is beautiful. On production, Matthew Burnett and Jordan Evans, both hip-hop producers.
Yeah. You can hear it in Get You. You can hear it in that track with Sid as well.
Right?
Yeah.
And then the only other producers that worked on this album were Bad Bad Not Good.
Oh.
And man, so a lot of this is straight from Daniel Caesar, a little bit of overseeing from hip hop producers, and then a Bad Bad Not Good influence, and the sound that is created in that mix, I think, is just beautiful. Some of the best features you'll hear anywhere. You've got Kaliuchis on, I hope I'm saying that right. I don't know if it's Uchis or Ukis or Kaliuchis on Get You.
Yeah. It's a great feature.
Unbelievable.
And I like the fact that the album version has more of her.
Oh, yes. Yeah, because of course the music video and the single was a little bit light on her.
Yeah. She just like comes in that like outro.
The very end.
Yeah.
Her or H-E-R. I don't know.
Oh, yes.
Right? But
that's a jam.
That second song, best part with her on it was just absolutely beautiful. Such a touching little guitar ballad. I loved it. Sid, the kid from the internet, who has fast become one of the biggest R&B bands in the world, which is kind of weird. No one saw that coming. It's from Odd Future, but Sid as well. FYI, put out a solo project this year that did not make even our honorable mentions, but wasn't bad. And her vocals were a welcome addition. And then Charlotte Day Wilson. You might not know Charlotte Day Wilson. She's a jazz artist. She was on Bad Bad Not Good's 4th album as well. Oh man, she has got the voice that you would expect to hear from a large black woman in the 50s. Oof. And she's got it here now, and it's great. It's unexpected, and it's great, and it's beautiful. And yeah, the
So my question for you then is, why is it not higher?
Why is it
I
not
have
higher?
only heard praise.
only heard praise. Daniel Caesar is great, and he's amazing, and he's a talent, and his songwriting is superb, and his lyrics are amazing. I just wish he wouldn't sound bored when he sang them, because he can be singing about, waking up in the morning and making love, and he can be singing about finding love in a higher place and God and concepts of great importance, and he can be singing about death or anything, and he'll always sound the same.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got.
So what, a lack of passion then, or what?
I don't know if it's a lack of passion, because seeing as he wrote the songs and he played them, I feel the passion through the music.
Yeah.
But as
in
a singer,
his delivery though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a singer, I think he has a ways to go, just in terms of bringing out his vocals and letting his vocals shine, and that's the only reason I have to drop it down. And also because just everything else on the list is so great.
Oof. Okay.
That's where his place was.
Looking forward to the rest of your list then. How are you going to solve the rest of these albums?
I don't know. I've peaked too soon.
You really have, man.
Oh, that's not a usual problem for me, though. I have great stamina. Usually people who do don't have to say it.
This is the best PG cast.
Anyway. That was my number 9.
All right, so on to my number 8. I've got Lord Melodrama.
Ooh.
Yeah, which wasn't even in your
honorable mentions. It was not.
Okay. I think that she's matured a lot since Pure Heroine. Mm-hmm. Not the drug, the hero, the female hero.
Like, you think she's gotten better since doing straight up heroin? I don't know how you know this information about her, but I mean, cool.
It's on the album, bro. Just listen to it. This was a fantastic album, and you will see this album top so many lists for this year.
Top them?
Yeah, I've seen it top quite a few.
Okay.
But I think it's fantastic. Her songwriting it's come leaps and bounds from her previous album. And there's some great radio ready tracks like Green Light, the first single.
Interestingly, I didn't like that when I...
You didn't like that?
Before the album, outside of the album, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I was a bit weirded out.
Perfect Places as well. Another great radio ready track. But everything in between is just a collection of really personal, slower paced tracks, and I really love it. I wasn't a big fan of her lyricism on her last release. I felt like, I don't know, there was something, I don't know, a 17-year-old, I don't know if she's had the experiences for everything that she's speaking about on that album, whereas obviously she's been through a lot since then, and it comes through on this album, and it's fantastic, and everything she does, she delivers with so much emotion and passion, and it's wonderful, start to finish. There's that track Rider in the Dark as well, that her delivery is sort of like tortured and just like unhinged a little bit. Love it. Just all around, I can't really fault it too much, except that it could have used a bit more colorful production in places.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is why I like the first album. So if the first album would get onto quite high on my list because of its production, this one would get high because of its lyricism. I just wish a bit more variation in production on this album would have been great.
Okay.
But other than that, I can't really fault it too much. Yeah.
Hypothetical. This album was Lord's debut album, and Pure Heroine was a follow-up. It would have been better for you.
Perhaps. That's interesting. That's an interesting point. Yeah. I think it might have been. Why wasn't this album on anywhere near your list?
It was an enjoyable listen.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. It was good. And that's really where it stayed for me.
Okay.
It was a good album. It was, I mean, it's really good. But if you get back from a date and go, yeah, that was good. I don't know if you put that in your top 10 dates.
True.
And for that reason, I couldn't put it in my top 10. And when I was thinking about putting it in my honorable mentions, I was thinking about what I would say about it. And it was good. It didn't seem like enough. I felt like there wasn't enough content.
No, that it makes sense. I mean, sometimes you can't put something on a list like this simply because it didn't, it just wasn't good enough. You can't explain why. It just didn't wow you. And that's good enough reason, really. You don't need to justify it.
Yeah, it was great. Maybe it just didn't resonate with me. It was great.
That's a better way.
It didn't hit me where it hit you, obviously.
Of course, yeah. I will say, though, that I didn't find myself coming back to it too much. Mm-hmm. Which, once again has to do with the fact that I wish there was a bit more variation in terms of the production. But I'm impressed, and I'm really keen to see where she goes next. Yeah.
Okay. My number 8 is an album that I know is on your list and will be coming up. It's Sampa.
Oh.
And his debut album, Process. I know he's quite high up on your list.
He is.
Because I know you.
Yes.
And I know how much you love this album.
Yes.
This is definitely the earliest album from the year, I think.
It is. Well,
perhaps Thundercat.
Yeah, it was around the same time, I think. It was around the same time.
Well, Thundercat, February 24. Sampa dropped on 3rd of February.
Ah, okay. Yeah, so
this
it is the
earliest
of the ones we've mentioned.
Of the ones. And for an album that dropped on the 3rd of Feb, for me to still be playing it in November and December is crazy. Knowing how prolific this year's been, we've been getting project after project in various genres. There's been enough to keep an avid listener busy. But Sampa keeps creeping back into my playlist, man. And that is no mean feat.
And it's his debut, but he's been around here.
He has. You've probably heard Sampa without even knowing it on some of your favorites.
Exactly.
I mean, who's he worked with? It's been Solange, Beyonce, Frank Ocean, Kanye, Drake,
like English indie sort of EDM type artists like Subtract, for example.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
But there was a lot of anticipation for this as well. I mean,
so he's been around, and for me, anticipation or a cosign from other artists is way more important, or will sway me much more than a publication or just general people. Because if all these people are choosing to work with him, that means they saw something. So even before the album came out, and we were expecting big things. Indeed. And the hype did not hurt this at all.
Not at all.
Process is great.
One of the few to not be hurt by any hype.
I mean, the writing of the songs, so his songwriting is superb. You can 100% see that he is comfortable behind that piano. That he knows every inch of it. It is part of him.
Yes.
His lyrics are so... Man, they make me sad.
Feels, man. The feels.
Yeah. Process, so... I mean, this is just me. I could be getting this very wrong, but I know that his mum died of cancer.
Yeah.
When he released his first EP.
Yeah, that was in 2013.
Yeah. And a lot of the lyrics on here are about, processing that and the process of... I also know that he happened to be his mother's primary caregiver when she got diagnosed with cancer, and he was looking after her, and that was a lot for him to deal with. I'm not saying that because I know him. I'm saying that because it shines through on this album.
It does.
The really...
You might think you know him, but nobody knows him like piano.
I hate you, but great song reference. I understand it. It's fine. He's got such meditative and somber lyrics. And, so deeply contemplative. He really brought me into his world.
Yes.
Which is difficult to do. it sounds cheesy. He really brought me into his world. But like, if you haven't lived an experience to truly empathize with someone, I think it's tough.
Yeah.
And I really felt it with Sampo. And the other thing that I got a lot from this album was his feeling disconnected from his roots or his culture because of what he's been, obviously he's jetting around, playing with whoever on what track and living a life that, is very different from where he came from.
Yeah.
And he, like, all these messages really got into me. And whenever I listen to this album, it takes me somewhere. And that is a big part of why I listen to music. And that was beautiful. His voice is crazy good. It's got such a unique,
easily the most recognizable voice in R&B.
Oh yeah, yeah. Right now, it's so different, and unfortunately, because we're in the internet age and we have access to every song released ever, you have to be kind of unique to stand out from the pack, and he's done it.
Yeah, he's done it.
He's definitely done it.
Yeah.
I wasn't familiar with his old work when I listened to this, but I did go back, check it out, Duel
after this,
and
Duel.
all that. And what I see as his progression is he used to use his voice as an instrument. He used to be making a song, and there'd be the drums, there'd be the keys, there'd be the vocals, there'd be this. And then on this track, he really let his vocals take center stage.
Yes.
And built his songs around it to really put those vocals and lyrics on a pedestal, and it did the album.
It did.
Wonders. Plastic 100 Degrees,
Oof.
Blood on Me, Reverse Faults. I don't know how you can be touching and beautiful and also be an absolute banger at the same time.
Yeah.
But they are.
They are.
No One Knows Me, Like the Piano, which everyone's heard at this point.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. To have a radio song be so touching and moving and not make me sick when I hear it, because the radio does tend to
it does that
to kill songs, and not for this, and that's why he's there.
Fantastic.
I wait with anticipation to see where he is on your list.
All right, so my number 7 is Wolf Alice, Visions of a Life. Something that you put me on.
I did.
Something that's not even in your honorable
Not even
mentions.
in my gems.
Can't believe that. I think you will struggle to find an album within the genre that's as varied as this album is. I mean, you've got the sort of the punkier, sort of abrasive songs like what's that, Yuck Fu?
Oh yeah,
I think it is. Yeah. A nice little, what do you call that English term we use? What, malapropism? Is that it?
I believe it is.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, you've got that sort of track. You've got Space and Time.
It's a spoonerism.
Spoonerism. What is a malapropism? I don't know.
I feel like it's taking a meaning and this is not in English at all. Why are we diving into this?
Yeah. So there's those punk rock abrasive type songs like Yuck Fu and Space and Time, which just shows her vocal ability. Mm-hmm. She's the centerpiece of the album. She's fantastic. One of my favorite vocal performances of the year come from this girl. I can't remember what her name is.
Oh.
But yeah, fantastic. And then there's songs that deal with grief, like Heavenward and Saint Purple and Green. Mm-hmm. That sort of just channel My Bloody Valentine influences.
Oh. And
big My Bloody Valentine fan here.
Right there with you, man.
Yeah, man. Fantastic.
Loveless. Woo!
Yeah, so much variety on this album. I enjoyed their last project, My Love Is Cool. But I think this is such a great improvement over it. It's it's just start to finish such a great album.
Just to jump in, lead vocals for Wolf Alice is Ellie Rousel.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's the one.
Awesome. And those are the types of tracks that just, for me, send you to another place. Like the opener, Heavenward. Mm-hmm. The moment I switched that song on, I was just somewhere else. And yeah, that's music at its best, man. When it can transport you like that, feel like you're in a higher place. It's cliche as hell, I know.
It is.
But damn, that's just, like one of my favorite musical experiences of the year. There are some Full is towards the end, I think, which is why this album isn't higher on my list. But man, I love this thing, and I'm really glad that you put me on them, which is so interesting for me.
Yeah.
That I'm putting an album on my list that you put me on.
Well, to be fair, this wasn't actually out when I put you on Wolf Alice.
Yeah, true.
We both were listening to their previous album.
That's true.
About a week or two before this album dropped, which is super interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
I mean, I heard about Wolf Alice when I had visited the UK.
Yes. They're pretty big there, right?
Yeah.
I haven't heard anyone here speak about them.
Yeah, they just haven't really broken into that international market.
Yeah, which is weird.
As much as they deserve, because man, they're making some great stuff, some unique stuff. Move over, Hayley from Paramore.
Oh,
Hayley Rousel is here.
They also released this year.
Oh, they did. Oh, if we do a bottom 10, maybe I'll mention that. No, I joke. Not really though.
And then also like there are tracks like Don't Delete the Kisses and Sky Musings that I think would fit in your like 80s sort of synth poppy type scenes. Sound like something that could come straight out of the Drive soundtrack. I know that's become such an overused reference these days. But it really was a trailblazer in terms of movie soundtracks. So yeah, that's why. But yeah, ultimately can't be higher on my list because of, just a few tracks towards the end that aren't quite as good as the first half. But yeah, definitely one of my best for sure.
Yeah, I don't have any questions or comments. I agree with everything that you've said. I think the filler tracks at the end are what affected me more than what they affected you. The album opens really well.
It does.
And it's great. And then I lose interest. I think the good tracks on this album are better than the previous album.
Yeah,
by far.
By some distance.
But I like the listen through
on
the previous album.
Yeah.
It's just a more comfortable, easier ride, which is terribly ironic because of where my list is going. And easy listening is not really the metric by which I usually judge things.
Not, yeah.
But yeah, I just found myself listening to this and going, I should spin that previous Wolf Alice album. And yeah, I guess that's just why I didn't make my list. But,
all right, fair enough.
Wolf Alice, if you're looking for a man, what would you classify Wolf Alice as?
Genres are so weird these days.
They're weird
man.
and kind of a waste of time.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I guess streaming services would classify them as rock or indie.
Rock. I think if you had to put a label on it, it would be indie folk punk.
Yeah.
It actually sounds really abrasive now that I've said it out loud. Let's call their genre Must Listen. And leave it there.
That's a good genre.
So I counter your Wolf Alice with another rock album, and it's Queens of the Stone Age, Villains.
Two very different sides of the spectrum, the rock spectrum.
They are.
Yeah.
But not if you're going by iTunes genre distinctions. Which we shouldn't. Not that there's anything wrong with iTunes. Yeah. Thank you for Apple Music. It's very convenient. Yes. Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor.
Just a fan.
Definitely not.
Yeah, Queens of the Stone Age. Man, that's an old band. I mean, not an old band in the way that, like, the Rolling Stones are an old band. How are they still playing shows? Anyway, Queens of the Stone Age is pretty old. Villains is their 7th studio album.
Oof. That's deep into the discography, man.
So they are deep. Jay-Z levels of deep.
Oof.
And similarly to Jay-Z, I think it becomes difficult to keep evolving and keep changing as a band. And the weird thing about this album is that they really haven't. It's everything I expected to hear on this Queens of the Stone Age album, but it just made me so happy. I first heard Queens of the Stone Age playing. I don't know if you're familiar with Jack and Daxter.
Yeah,
the PlayStation
2 game. Yeah.
So there was this tendency to, whenever a game franchise was doing really well, they'd make a racing version of it. Crash Bandicoot got Crash Team Racing.
Yeah.
And
Mario Kart and whatnot.
Yeah. And Jack and Daxter got Jak X.
Yes.
Which was a racing game.
Damn, I didn't even know that was a racing game. I saw it on shelves, never played it.
Yeah, you would have been disappointed if you bought it, not expecting a racing game. But, I mean, it was very much a, weaponized racing.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But
it was soundtracked by Queens of the Stone Age?
It wasn't soundtracked by Queens of the Stone Age, but I don't know if you remember the significance of the opening cinematic in a video game when you're young.
Oh.
Back when you wouldn't press start and you'd wait for that really cool, and when you look back now, terribly animated opening cinematic.
Yeah.
And it had this really interesting guitar riff as they were in the pits kind of working on the car, and then the car exploded out of the garage to this song, which was a song off of their second or third studio album, Songs for the Deaf. And oh my lord, that song changed my life. I forgot about it for a very long time because I was too stupid to Google at that age. And it wasn't a reflex to go, what is the song from the opening of Jak X?
Yeah.
But it turns out it should be. But now it is.
Yes.
And from there, I just kept loving it. That album, Songs for the Deaf, Era Vulgaris. I don't know if you ever listened to that.
No.
Great album. Then their sixth album, Like Clockwork, came out, and it was crap. Absolutely hated it.
Lack of a better word.
For lack of a better word, crap. A river of excrement. It was
a whole river?
A whole river, an entire Ganges of excrement. It was too dark. It was too moody. And not that dark, moody albums are bad at all, but it felt very forced.
That we mentioned, I'm sure.
Yeah, and there are some coming up.
Yeah.
But it felt very forced, and I didn't like it, and I was disappointed, and Queens of the Stone Age broke my heart, but like a thoughtful boyfriend with this album, Villains, they came back with Chocolates and Roses and my favorite movie, and we got back together. So good. I don't have a lot to say about it, which is weird because I've put it higher than some albums that I had quite a lot to say about. But it's just rock and roll, and I think that rock, even more so than R&B, is a dying genre.
Yeah.
There are offshoots of rock that we have now that are these new kind of pockets, and they're thriving, but the classic rock band,
almost there.
Don't even know if it exists anymore.
Yeah.
Foo Fighters put out an album this year. Wasn't feeling it at all. No. Very meh. And then I listened to Villains, and I was like, oh, it's not dead because Josh Homme? I don't know how to say his name. Josh Homme he's still keeping it alive, and he's got that perfect rock and roll voice.
Yes.
Every time I hear it, I picture myself in a leather jacket on a Harley Davidson. It's not an attractive image. I'm not a large man. I don't look good on a Harley Davidson, leather jackets kind of make me look a bit puffy. But I feel like I'd be cool, and I feel like whatever he says is happening, and it's gritty and just kind of filthy.
Okay.
And I love it. I just love it. It hits me viscerally, more so than in these kind of intellectual sort of ways.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, they brought Mark Ronson on to do production for this album.
They did?
Mark Ronson
Wow.
was the lead producer.
I can't even hear that.
And you can't hear it until you listen to Like Clockwork. And if you think of that as where the band was, and then you look at Villains next to it, you're like, I'm so happy they brought Mark Ronson on because the sounds that he got them to try and experiment with, I think it was really cool, even if it wasn't completely outside of the realm of what you'd expect from a Queens of the Stone Age album.
Favorite tracks?
Favorite tracks? The opener? Don't Fail Me.
Opener. Oof.
Woo! That is an amazing track. Having said that, my plea to all musicians out there is to stop putting 50 seconds of silence or a slow feedback of a speaker going until you eventually start. Just hit me with that.
Don't put it in your podcast either.
Yeah, probably a bad idea. Maybe we'll edit that out in post. But every time I play this album, which is a lot, I go 46 seconds into the first song and then start listening from there. But after 46 seconds, Feet Don't Fail Me, amazing. The Way You Used To, Fortress, Head Like a Haunted House, these punchy rock riffs, and you would think that no one could write new riffs anymore because riffs are pretty, we feel like we've heard all of them, but you haven't, because Queens of the Stone Age is still there, putting them out. It's 9 tracks, which
It's perfect for you.
It's perfect for me. It's tight, it's concise, it's a wild ride, and then it's over. It's a one-night stand with a dirty biker, but I don't regret it.
Okay. Weird analogies aside. In at my number 6 is the XX, I See You.
Okay.
I love this album. Also, one of those albums that came so early in the year that by the time you're doing these lists, you might just forget how much you enjoyed them when they came out. And yeah, big fan of the XX's previous projects. There was their self-titled debut,
of course,
which is still one of the most flawless.
It's a perfect album.
Yeah.
We agree on that.
Yeah, we do agree on that. But I think this album is right up there with it. I think that if you listen to what Jamie XX did with his last album, this is the natural progression for the band as a whole from that. I mean, they're trying to go for the dance floor with some of these tracks, like the opener. I'll get to the name in a second. Dangerous, that's the name. Yeah. Which they also put on FIFA now. Which, yeah. So he's trying to hit the dance floor. The whole band is at this stage with some of these tracks, like Dangerous, like On Hold, which is an old Hall & Oates sample.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which I know now because my mom's just been playing Hall & Oates for like 3 weeks straight.
Great.
Nothing but it.
Now you have a way to introduce her to the XX.
I do. That is very true.
Your mum's about to get a whole lot cooler.
Yeah, and then there's some really great emotional tracks on here, like Replica, some solos by Romy, whose songwriting is just gone through the roof. Like she was my favorite part of Jamie XX's solo album.
Those features on there? Oh, wow, okay.
Jeepers.
I thought Young Thug was your favourite part
of
that album.
Young Thug aside, that's always going to be the top one. I mean, come on. Yeah, start to finish, man. Can't really fault this album too much.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't understand why it's not on your list. Not even in your honorable mentions, man.
Even.
But yeah, that's
not even.
Not even. Yeah, and then there's Say Something Loving as well.
I do love that track.
Oh,
and the music video is...
Yes, that's got
great.
Stranger Things.
Yeah, Millie Bobby Brown is in
Millie
that.
Bobby Brown, yeah.
And the... I feel really bad for forgetting, but the mid-aged actor
from Moonlight. Yeah.
What is his name?
Yeah, I can't really fault this album too much. It's nice and short as well, 39 minutes clock time.
It's a beautiful runtime.
What could you want?
You're not
from
wrong.
An album? Come on, this is right up your alley.
It is, and I feel like the reason this didn't make my list because I did enjoy it. Make no mistake.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of the XX.
Yes.
As you know. Funny story about the XX. I actually got bonus tracks for that first album. But I downloaded the bonus track separately, and when I added it to my iTunes,
they just blended together.
It put the bonus tracks in with the rest of the album, and I loved that album for so long, listening to it completely wrong.
This is the debut.
Yeah. And then eventually listened to it the right way and found it didn't change anything because it's just a great, perfect listen.
And this just didn't live up to that?
I think I listened to this comparatively.
Oof.
Which is a mistake.
It's a trap.
And... it's terrible to admit because it's just such a wrong thing to do, and I feel like I shortchanged the XX, probably. But I didn't return to it that much. I know, because we got Sampa and the XX pretty much back to back.
Close together, yeah.
I remember listening to them at the same time. At the same time,
yeah.
And... yeah, I went to Jazz Fest, Cape Town International Jazz Fest, and then afterwards, for some reason, I didn't go back to the X. Well, that wasn't the catalyst. I'm not saying Jazz Fest indoctrinated me to hate the XX
Sure.
or not jazz.
When was the last time you listened to it, though? Months?
I want to say months, maybe a month.
Okay.
When I was starting to think about this list, I gave it a spin.
Okay.
But I probably was still being a bit comparative about it. But
Yeah. Because what I find with these albums that came out so early in the year, when you spin them again, even if you didn't come back to them in that time, if you spin them again, you'll love it. If you did love it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, I can't have too many complaints about this album. I don't know why it isn't higher. I can't really justify. Maybe it's because what's coming is so much better.
so good.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think this is about as close to their debut as they can get. Yeah.
Cool. I'm there with you for that. We're on, what's this, number 6, yeah?
Yep.
So my number 6 is Tyler, the Creator.
Whoa.
Flower Boy.
Okay.
I have been a Tyler fan
You have.
for
You have.
long enough that it's slightly embarrassing when people ask me questions about his early career.
About his what?
His early career.
Okay. What about?
Tyler, the Creator, is a controversial artist.
Yeah.
And I can't even listen to his old stuff. I can't listen to Bastard at all. Goblin, I can't really listen to anymore for a variety of reasons. I mean, Bastard is rough. It's not a polished album at all. It's
Yeah.
very much a mixtape made by a young man, and you can tell.
Oh, very young man at that point, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Like 18,
17, 18,
yeah.
yeah. And just the lyrical content is colourful, to say the least. A lot of slurs, a lot of hatred towards the
everything.
the everything, but specifically women and homosexual people, which is very rough and wouldn't fly anymore. And I feel like he's really the last artist who kind of would get away with that sort of thing and get really big. We're probably not going to see any more of those.
Yeah.
After 2017.
No, definitely not.
As much as he had been getting flack for it before, 2017 has been a bit of a pivotal moment in our society in terms of PC culture. We're not going to get those artists anymore.
Definitely not.
Odd Future, I've really fallen in love with a lot of the other people from Odd Future. As we mentioned, The Internet is an amazing band. I'm loving everything they do.
A lot of times with these collectives, I think you and I enjoy the second and third placed
You're not wrong.
person more than we do like the front man.
The front man,
Yeah.
yeah. And Tyler is the consummate front man.
a
Anything
doubt.
he's in, he is front and center,
Yeah.
stealing all the limelight. Whereas, an Earl Sweatshirt, in my opinion, is like top 5 rappers right now,
Okay.
living.
Okay.
But Tyler had been getting a lot more attention than him simply because of who Tyler is. And I think this album is the first album where really the shock factor took a complete backseat.
Yeah.
And the over-the-top character that Tyler is, whether that be in his lyrics or his songwriting or his production, took a backseat, and we got to see who he really is inside, and man, am I happy about that.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is a great album. There is so much on this. You can properly feel all of his jazz and soul influences on this.
Yeah.
There were smatterings of it before on Wolf, which is a great album, by the way.
Yeah.
There was that Tree Home song, Tree Home 95.
Oh, yeah.
That was, just such a great jazzy joint. But the rest of it, really wasn't there. There was IFHY.
Okay. Yeah.
I Fucking Hate You. What is that track? Which also, great production, these smooth jazz sounds, but the rest of it was, kind of normal stuff. On this one, you can hear that he's loved Stevie Wonder and Roy Ayers and Charlie Wilson, his whole life.
He showed a bit of signs in this on Cherry Bomb as well, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
But for me, Tyler's character has always been, this fight between, don't be cliche, Ezra, the light and the dark, he's Jedi and Sith. Man, save it somehow. Salvage is horrible metaphor.
I can't save you there.
Help me. So I've always had, not a problem, because like I said, I'm a fan and I've been following the music, but there's always been an element of like abrasiveness within his own songs or his own music or his own albums, where there's been these great lyrics, or he'd have like great lyrics over just like an over the top banging beat, which is not a problem, because like I said, I enjoyed them, but it not quite great, not quite award worthy. Or he'd have these really beautiful, especially on Cherry Bomb, he'd have these really beautiful instrumentals and these lovely and then he'd get these people like Stevie Wonder or Charlie Wilson so that he could have them feature on a track where he talks about jerking off or relationships with underage girls, and it was always this, it didn't quite fit. And it was there, and you see all these ingredients, but they didn't read the recipe and he couldn't make the cake. It was just gloop that came out of the oven. It tasted good, but you wouldn't present it to someone.
That's a better analogy than that
terrible,
god awful.
I'm sorry,
Jedi.
I'm sorry. I'm a nerd. I was about to say deep down. It's not that deep.
It's not.
It's pretty
very surface.
But
so you feel like this is the first time it all came together for him?
Yeah, this is the perfect time.
Exactly how I feel, because it is my number 5 pick. Yeah, this is the first time I felt. I know I'm hijacking your slot a little bit.
Oh no, it's
go
fine.
Back to you in a second.
But we're on the same album.
Yeah, we're on the same album. This is the first Tyler project that has actually gripped me, start to finish. I feel like everything he did here came together in a way that it hasn't before. And I mean, some of the production he's got in this thing, I mean, that there's basically like a solid 7-8 track run where it's just hit after hit after hit, and it's fantastic. And I mean, we could have seen this coming when he dropped that 911 track.
Oh yes.
Beautiful, absolutely
beautiful.
Yeah, and
produced the whole album as well.
He did produce the whole album. That's true. And I think Who Dat Boy, a bit of an outlier on this album, in a sense, in terms of production.
Like it's just sonically. Okay.
Yeah, in terms of just sonically, it's an outlier.
But it's still such a fun song.
Oh man, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And bringing us a great A$AP Rocky feature, which
you feel like there's been a shortage of those.
Yeah. Thought it was a drought.
Yeah. Wrong rapper, bro.
I know. Young Future reference for you guys out there.
But yeah, even some of the other features that, again, Kali Uchis
doing no wrong lately.
That's a good highlight on this album.
A great Jaden Smith feature,
bro,
which I haven't seen coming.
Yeah,
but that Potholes feature was great. Great track as well.
Great hook. Woo. Fantastic hook. But yeah, like you said, you just feel like this is the first time that you've gotten to know Tyler in a way that you haven't before, and that's so important. This is like a pivotal moment in his, in his discography as a whole,
and also a pivotal moment in his life.
Yes,
given
indeed,
the centerpiece
the revelations.
Of this album.
Yes, definitely.
And I think it feels like, and I don't want to read too much into some, because there could be a multitude of reasons, but it feels like, especially as we spoke about before, coming from such a homophobic, violently opposed to people different from himself kind of place, the kind of release of this build-up that must have been inside.
Yeah.
Because, what does he rap on? Is it Who Dat Boy? Kissing White Boys since 2004?
Yes.
That's a while ago. It's not recent.
Yeah.
That's a long time to hold in.
Exactly.
A big part of yourself.
He's dropped all those albums, all those abrasive, crazy albums.
Yeah.
After that.
And I feel like letting that go and getting that off his chest just unlocked something inside of him. And he didn't have that internal conflict anymore. And then somehow it came through and he didn't have conflict in his music anymore. And it's beautiful.
And we're getting to the points in this list now where there aren't too many negatives. with the albums we're listing, I can't think of much wrong with this album,
Flower
if
Boy?
we're being
Nope.
honest.
Nope, I really can't.
Yeah.
It's great. It's just an amazing artist, because that's what he is. He's not just a rapper.
Yeah.
He's definitely an artist who's matured into his final form. Let's just hope that no one throws a Destructo disc at him.
No. You're back.
I'm
with
back.
The terrible analogies
I never left.
Oh my
I
goodness.
was always there. In terms of negatives, I only have one, and it's not really even a negative. It's just, I guess, the way that the cookie crumbles, because of, lifestyle, personal reasons. Not a lot of Odd Future features on here.
Okay.
Which is something
Does
that I
there need
miss.
to be?
Not that, and again, it's the smallest of negatives.
Yes.
It's not even really a negative.
Yes.
But I've always loved a good Sid feature on a Tyler album. I've always loved Earl popping up, because they always had such an interesting chemistry.
True.
And I feel like
I feel like
same
you could
way
have
that-
brought one of those guys in on Who Dat Boy, for example.
Yeah. The same way that Vince Staples says that Earl Sweatshirt makes him rap better. I saw a video of them talking about being in the studio and whatever. He said, "I like to keep Earl around because I think he's the best.
Yes.
He makes me rap better." And Earl said, "I think Vince Staples raps in a way that I can't rap, and it makes me up my game when I'm with him." I don't know if that's how Tyler feels about the rest of Odd Future, but I always felt it in the tracks where he would collaborate with them, and I kind of missed
You
that.
missed that, yeah.
So, but it's a negative in that I miss something, not that there's something wrong with the album, which is high praise. And I've got to say, Lil Wayne coming back on Dropping Seeds.
Okay, yeah.
He's becoming a feature killer, because Wayne has been jumping on tracks everywhere and just so good. And last time he jumped on that track on Cherry Bomb.
Yeah.
Was it Okada, California, with Frank?
Yes,
Not Frank, Kanye.
With
It was the Kanye and Lil
Wasn't
Wayne
that-
later in the...
Smuckers?
Smuckers. Sorry, Smuckers. Woo! Save me there. That Wayne feature at the end was great.
Yes.
Here, Dropping Seeds, absolutely amazing.
He has been churning out some great features. I mean, there was a coloring book, You Ain't Got No Problem.
Oh, no. Don't open that can of worms with me.
To our two fans out there, he hates that album.
I don't like coloring book. Don't say hate. That's a very strong word
It is
that I've
very
never
strong word.
used. But yeah, great album from a great artist, segueing right into number 5.
Yeah.
A great artist that I had absolutely no idea existed until this year. I heard from a friend of ours, Zuide, that this guy who had been playing guitar for Corinne Bailey Rae was going to drop a solo album. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I really like Corinne Bailey Rae.
Yes.
Thanks for the plug. I will, keep my ear to the ground. Keep my nose to the air. Keep my finger to the wind. Pedal to the metal? No. I'll be looking out for it. And when it came out, Aromanticism, the debut album from Moses Sumney, absolutely blew my socks off and down the road. And I had to drive to go fetch them, because that's how far those socks were. This album is a journey. It is a revelation. It's transcendental. It's a journey, and it feels like an angel has come and wrapped you up in its wings and is flying you to heaven, and also gives you like a sensual hand job on the way. It's just pure bliss.
That was getting very cheesy, and then
I saved it.
You saved it,
Yeah. Get rid of the cheese. A good hand job is always the way to go. I don't know.
No!
I don't know if I'm allowed to say that just generally in life, but I did. It is pleasure from beginning to end. This album. You see, that's why it's a good metaphor, because it fits. It is absolutely amazing. The way he plays the guitar, it's reminiscent of Sampa and his piano.
Yeah.
They are intimately familiar with their instrument. It doesn't sound like someone forcing chords out of something. It doesn't sound like someone trying to play a song. It sounds like someone releasing what was inside of them. It's, oh my gosh, just amazing. He'll hit you with like bare vocals in a verse, which are beautiful, by the way. He hits these amazing falsetto highs and these like beautiful growly kind of lows.
Yeah.
And then in a chorus, he'll layer his vocals just like a wedding red velvet cake until you've got these walls of harmonies just assaulting your ears, but it's with like velvet pillows, so it's not a painful assault. It's just fun.
So much velvet imagery.
It is. Yeah. Sorry, but it's just such a smooth, soft, silky album. I can't get over it. When I listened to this the very first time, I remember thinking, this first track is amazing. It's just moving and flowing in all these different ways. I looked at my phone and I was 5 tracks deep.
Whoa.
And I couldn't tell. And it's not even that there aren't breaks, because there are almost moments of silence between the tracks. But just something about the way that he sucked me into the world of this album and into his mind and into this soundscape, that I forgot that I should be listening to this track and that track. And, you know, my critical brain turned off and I was transported into, just this world of pure bliss. And
so this is your number 1 then?
It's not. It's my number 5.
God damn, what is your number 1?
I know. It's difficult even for me. I don't know what genre this is, and the only reason I bring that up is because he was actually the subject of an article that I had read, where there was, you know, a problem with people either categorizing black artists as rappers or R&B artists, because he had been put down as an R&B artist. And I think that's a crime, not because I don't like R&B, but just because this music is just so much more. It completely breaks the boundaries of what R&B defines, and I think that's doing a disservice to Moses Sumney and R&B. My only... not problem, but the only issue I've had with this album is that I love it and it's great, but it's not easy for other people to listen to, and I'm very much a social music listener, and I've had to not play this at times because, like, my dad or my sister or my friends...
it's not on my list. Yeah.
It's very abstract at points.
It is.
And if you don't so much appreciate some complex movements or kind of musical ideas, then maybe you wouldn't like it. Or I don't think it's fair to say you wouldn't like it.
A fundamental difference between our lists, I think, and our tastes is that you've got the technical musical side of things, whereas I wouldn't appreciate that type of thing. You know, that's simply because I've never played an instrument. I've never dealt with music at a technical level. And so things like what you're describing there fly straight over me. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's... there's nothing bad about it. It's just not quite a mood album.
Yeah.
But if I put this album on, I can't do other things. It's a task that must be done.
Yeah.
Only in and of itself. And I guess that is kind of a drawback in that I really have to sit and listen to it. Because if I'm doing something with it in the background, it becomes kind of weird and distracting, and I get pulled in 2 different directions. And that the only negative about this album is that it's so good you can't do anything when you listen to it. Moses Sumney.
Yeah, you've played me a lot of things. You've never, you know, when I've given you the aux responsibilities, that's never come up.
Yeah.
So I think that pretty much sums up what you're saying.
Exactly. And you've even said to me before, Ezra, you're the only person who plays this weird, like, hipster alternative, can't bob your head to it music in my car. Everyone else plays recognizable stuff. And yet, I've still never played Moses Sumney. And that does say something.
Yeah. Which is your only negative?
Only negative.
Yeah.
Back to you.
All right, my number 4, an album we've covered in detail. Sample Process.
Okay.
Yeah. Loved this album. Like, I wouldn't be able to do it justice. How much I enjoyed this album.
You did.
There was a long time, I think. The first part of this year was a little bit of a drought, like Jan, Feb.
That's true. That's
A
true.
little bit.
We were
Like a
cruising
little bit of a
on Run the
mini drop.
Jewels 3.
Yes, exactly.
Which, interestingly enough, some people have put on their 2017 lists.
Simply because their 2016 list was made before Run the Jewels
They
came out.
couldn't put it on their 2016 list because they decided to put it out before the end of the year. We didn't do that because we care about music and we care about listening to things that came out late in the year, giving them a chance to enter our lists.
Yes.
But some people were forced to put Run the Jewels on there, but that could carry you for Jan Feb.
No shade throwing there.
No shade at all.
Nothing, no.
At all.
Like, if you think that was directed at you, it's not. I can't. This was a fantastic album. Like you say, so personal as well. I mean, there are many things here. There's a lot of variety. There are many things here you wouldn't be able to drop on the aux cable. Like No One Knows Me Like the Piano, which is a fantastic song in its own right. And just the range he covers on this album it's second to none. The production is fantastic. I mean, really, we've covered everything about this album, and it's start to finish absolutely wonderful. Particularly, I like Take Me Inside, just because going from No One Knows Me Like the Piano, which is just a straight piano ballad,
Yes.
Take Me Inside starts with this. The first half is all straight up piano, and the second half drifts to sort of a bit of synth, a bit of keys, and it just becomes it's a perfect segue into the electronic second half of the album. And I think that's a neat little trick, which shows you both sides of his talents, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought about it that way. That's really good.
Yeah. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. I can't, again, we're so deep into this list that I can't really list a negative. I think Samper delivered. Is it Samfer or Samper?
I'm pretty sure it's Semper, but if it's not, someone will tell us.
True.
Angrily. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not good enough fans, though. We didn't know that. He delivered, man. Like, the hype was insane, like we said, and that didn't do this album a disservice. It was just, it's perfect.
All right.
Yeah.
Can't argue with that.
No, you cannot. At me, bro.
At my number 4, I've got the aforementioned, during my honorable mentions, King Cruel, The Ooze.
Ooh.
I can't believe you did that. King Cruel, man. It came out of nowhere. I was not hipster enough to know about King Cruel early on. My introduction to King Cruel was last year.
I had
Quite late.
heard of him because I heard that Frank Ocean wanted to collaborate with him, but I never really actually delved into any of his music.
So did Beyonce. So did Kanye. Yeah. Yeah. He is an eccentric that attracts a lot of attention.
Yeah.
Both for his music, which is amazing.
Yeah.
For his live shows or lack thereof.
Yeah.
And just for like his weird character, because he's a weird guy.
Yeah.
Which is cool. It kind of adds to the mystery.
Yeah. And you can't really imagine anyone pulling off an album like this being completely normal.
That's true.
Can you?
That's true.
Definitely not.
Beauty from the madness, bro.
God damn it.
I thought of that on the weekend.
Go away.
Oh man, I'm here for the jokes, man. That's why I wanted to do this.
It's not even the correct title.
He's got like a indie post-punk dark wave.
Yes.
But like also punk jazz kind of sound. I don't know how to describe it.
You can't.
It is as
It's impossible to describe.
frenetic and scrambled as it sounds, and yet absolutely perfect.
And so unique, man. Like,
Right?
he's in his own lane.
100%.
For sure. There's nobody else that's doing anything close to this.
Yellow Days is close to it.
You think so?
But not as interesting, which is the only reason why he didn't make my list.
True.
And why, when I think about it, I usually lean King Cruel.
King Cruel. Yeah.
Just because it's so...
Yeah.
It's got that X factor. I loved his first release, 6 Feet Beneath the Moon, featuring that single that is still being played all the time everywhere. Easy Easy.
Yeah.
Great track.
So did you listen to that before this?
I did.
Okay. So when you saw this was out, you went back to that and then listened to this?
Definitely.
Okay.
And...
Get the progression.
Yeah, just to feel the growth and the movement. 6 Feet Beneath the Moon, my only problem with it was it felt a little bit overproduced in places. It felt too smooth. It felt too worked on. It felt like, trying to do Paranormal Activity in like 4K. It doesn't work because no one believes this is legitimate anymore.
Yeah.
It's not real. It didn't feel authentically Archie Marshall. Not like it was bad music, but I felt like there was someone trying to break free when I was listening to that album. On The Ooze, though, he definitely breaks the mold. It's dark, it's gritty. These are all the things that I said was bad about that Queens of the Stone Age album, except this one just got me there. It took me to a different place. It made me feel like disgusting, but also kind of happy about it. And
escapism, man. That's what the best music does.
100%.
That's why I listen to music. And this album, I know for you,
does it.
At least, is a great example of that.
Yeah.
I saw it described as like you're inhabiting like a David Lynch movie.
Oh man,
which
that's
is
so
a great,
perfect.
great description of it. Yeah.
So perfect.
Yeah. Which comes through in his music videos too.
Oh, it really does.
Yeah.
Great videos.
Yeah.
Great. What? Oh man, I can't even remember. Was it Blue or Check One?
Check One. I think
when
it's
we
Check
watched
One.
the Check One video, and every time we were going, oh, Hectic, did he do? Oh wait, no, that's not that at all. He had like 7 of those moments during that video, and you have moments like that during the album as well.
Yeah.
When you think he's taking you somewhere and he's not, and you think he's singing about one thing, but then he's really not. He excels where Daniel Caesar's short point is, in that he has so much emotion and feeling behind his voice. Not the greatest voice you'll ever hear.
No.
Very much just a London boy. What you might expect to hear at karaoke at the pub, but over just some of the greatest music you'll ever hear, and saying things that people usually don't say.
Yeah.
And I think it's beautiful.
Does everything himself, right?
He does.
Yeah.
He does. He has a band, and he doesn't do the saxophone. I know he gets other people to do his saxophone. There's actually 3 saxophonists listed on the album, but he has a lot of sax. So
yeah.
You're probably
Die.
gonna you're probably gonna be a little bit annoyed, but it's 19 tracks. So I know. It's very long.
How do you...
Not only is it 19 tracks, but it runs
an hour and 2 minutes.
At an hour and 2 minutes. It's long. It's a long album.
So how do you justify this?
And that is my only negative, is that it's too long. What isn't a negative is it dragging, because it doesn't. So when you listen to it, there's never a point where you're like, oh, I mean, is this King Cruel album ever going to end? You don't. You just keep going, except it does go for a while. So if you're doing it while I've had a couple of times when I was at work listening to this album while I was working, and then I had to go into a meeting, which would never happen with another album. It's just because this album ran so long, and all the shortcomings that come with long albums didn't happen in this project for me.
Yeah.
I never felt like it was too long. I never felt like I was getting the same message. Or,
sometimes the quality can sort of transcend through that.
The length.
Yeah, that length.
Yeah. So yeah, that's one of the only times when I liked it long. I prefer short and dense, Keegan. Yeah, it's really great.
Tears in my eyes.
It's tough to pick great tracks from it because it's very much a journey as an album.
Yeah.
I don't think King Cruel is a singles kind of guy. Having said that,
Dumb Surfer.
Dumb Surfer is the one that is a jam.
Yes.
Biscuit Town. Amazing opener.
Yeah.
Really good opener. I liked Lonely Blue. Very much like a downtrodden, very slowed down, bluesy song.
Yeah. There are a few tracks like that on the album.
There are. Check One. Absolutely amazing. La Lune. It's the closer.
Okay.
Really liked it. Yeah. And yeah, that's my
Fantastic.
my entry.
Top 3 time.
Top 3 time.
Damn. All right. In at my number 3, Vince Staples. Big Fish Theory. Man, I love this album. There was so much anticipation for me with this album. And the short answer is that he delivered and then some. I think that he could have easily dropped another Summertime 06. He could have easily, just done a J. Cole and dropped the same album with minor, with some minor alterations.
Ooh,
and it would have still banged. Shots have been fired. But he didn't. Instead of a sprawling tale of, growing up in adversity and, just, all of those heavy themes that we know rappers to talk about. Instead of giving us another project like that, he went completely the other direction and gave us 36 minutes?
It's short.
That is really short. That's probably less than half of what Summertime 06 is. And it is filled with absolute bangers. Absolute bangers. And I mean, the production is insane. It starts off with Crabs in a Bucket, which is like sort of housey type.
Very housey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Glitchy drums. And,
I mean, you didn't expect Vince to be dropping an album like that.
It was a surprise when you cut it on.
Yeah, definitely. I think was Justin Vernon involved in that track? I think it's so random. And then he settles into Big Fish, the track, and that's more of what we know Vince to do. And then from there you get that Amy Winehouse interlude. It's like from an old interview of hers. And from there it just opens into just pure dancey vibes for a few tracks. I like Love Can Be, which has a Ray J feature on it of all people. And it's produced by this EDM group called GTA. And
he featured on a track of theirs.
Yes, on their album.
And I like that track.
Yeah, it's a great album. Great track. And then it goes on to 745, channeling those G-Funk. And my point here is that there's so much variation, again, which is I love in an album. I really love it. And for me, the change from Summertime 06 to this is sort of like a more low-key version of the change from My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy to Yeezus. In that...
Okay.
I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. Just a complete change in direction.
Yeah.
And I love that. It's like OK Computer to Kid A.
Ooh.
It's that sort of stage in an artist's career where they choose to subvert expectations, where they choose to do something that you don't expect from them, and they pull it off. And that's absolutely why I love it as much as I do. Fantastic Kendrick feature.
As always.
As always.
Yeah.
I mean, what more can you say about Kendrick? We don't need to even get into that.
He's been a home run any feature he's on lately.
Yeah, he's a complete draw. Into an A$AP Rocky feature as well. One that I personally liked, you probably didn't. And then a Ty Dolla $ign feature at the end of the album. Also, another great track. And yeah, man, I feel like Vince did the thing on this one. I really do. I can't understand why it's not even on your list. I really don't.
I mean, why it's not on my list? I like Vince Staples. You know this.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like him as much as you do. I don't know many people who like Vince Staples as much as you do.
You probably don't, yeah.
I loved Summertime 06.
Yeah.
So did you. It was great. And when I put this on, it's different. And he did some very bold, very brave things. And as an artist, I think he deserves a lot of respect for that move, as you were saying.
Yeah.
For not choosing to be complacent, not choosing to sit on his laurels and just go, yeah, cool. I can rely on my bars. And, you know, I'll just put some feelers out, get a beat from here, get a beat from there, you know. And it would have been successful if he had chosen to do that. And muchos respect, Senor Vince, for doing that.
Yeah.
But I skipped some tracks, and the albums on my list, I don't skip anything.
Nothing.
No.
Okay.
And
I guess that's decent.
It was such a glaring fact when I was looking at them. Weighing pros and cons and how much did I listen to these and what do I think of this, and then I just kept coming back to the fact that when I listen to this, I skip that song every time. And I skip
so
that
you're
song
telling
every
me
time. For
for an album to get on this type of list for you, even if, let's say for instance, you dropped, what's a good example here? It's just like a random Ed Sheeran feature in the middle of To Pimp a Butterfly. It wouldn't get on your list at all.
It depends.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, the list is comparative. So the only reason that this was such a problem is because, like I said, every other album on this list, I didn't skip anything. That's the only reason that it's a problem.
Yeah.
If there were some other songs that I would skip on other albums, then I'd be like, I mean, this is something that I've been doing with just albums this year.
Yeah.
So maybe there is no near perfect album this year.
True.
And some of the choices in terms of production, just sonically, didn't fit for me. I don't think they're bad.
Yeah.
By any stretch of the imagination. And I think that he really managed to put his signature on all of these different types of beats, which is really cool and it's difficult to do and not everyone can pull it off. And he deserves and gets my praise, just not my top 10 praise.
Cool. For me, also one of why I think this album is so high on my list as well. An essential theme for 2017. The world is going to shit, but let's have a motherfucking party while we're at it.
Okay.
And that's Vince Staples on this album, in a nutshell.
I can hear that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my third album.
Okay. Getting to my third. You knew it was coming at some point on this list. It's my boy Milo with Who Told You to Think? Question mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, question mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark.
Gotta say the whole thing.
The whole
like
thing.
A Tribe Called Quest. You say the whole thing.
I'll say the whole thing once, and then for the rest of the time, I'm just going to call it Who Told You to Think? Otherwise, this podcast will run 7 hours. But the album title is a mouthful because the album is a mouthful. This is not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
This is, like, I can talk about Milo for ages. The most underrated rapper in the game.
Ooh.
At me. There's no doubt. There's no doubt in my mind. Open Mike Eagle gets props.
Yeah.
As much as he's not obviously in the mainstream because of the type of music that he makes, he gets props. People talk about Open Mike Eagle a lot. Who talks about Milo? Me.
And you think he's on the same level as
Open Mike Eagle?
Yeah, better.
Possibly better.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. I honestly do. Dead End Hip Hop talks about Milo and Mike Seatown and Anthony Fantana. But that's besides the point. I do think that he's highly underrated. If you haven't listened to this album, I think anyone who likes rap should.
Yeah.
If you don't like rap and your reason is because of like lyrical content, like, you know, I don't like rap because they're always talking about shooting people and bitches and drugs, listen to this album. If you like philosophy, listen to this album. And if you just like to think or get really high, listen to this album. I think there's something here for everyone.
Okay.
And for the rap fan, even more. It's because no one knows about him. He's from Wisconsin.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
He was a philosophy student before.
It shows.
He was previously a member of the Hellfire Club. So you got members of the Hellfire Club, Open Mike Eagle, Bus Driver, Elucid. Anderson .Paak was in Hellfire Club.
Oh.
It's an LA-based collective.
Yeah.
He went to LA for a little while, moved back to Wisconsin. When I think about an underground rapper, Milo is what I think of, because the underground isn't like what it used to be. When underground rap was people who didn't have money for marketing, so you couldn't find their music. Now it's the internet. So if you can make music, you can put music out there and people will be able to find it. You need a SoundCloud, you need a Twitter, possibly an Instagram. Yeah. And you're there. There's a market for it, and it's fine. So underground hip-hop isn't just poor people rapping anymore, right? And underground hip-hop has to be something that subverts the genre and something that is in opposition to the genre, really. And I don't think anyone's really doing that, except for your art rap cats, your Open Mike Eagles and your Bus Drivers and your No Can Do's and your Elucids, and I could go on saying names that most people don't know, but I won't. But Milo. No. And but for good reason, because a lot of these guys make music that is not accessible for most people. But Milo is really flying that flag super high for me. He made my favorite album of 2015. So the Flies Don't Come. Amazing.
Oh, that's all. Favorite album of 2015?
Favorite album of 2015.
You know that To Pimp a Butterfly came out in 2015.
Yeah. That's my favorite album of all time. It's a different category. I don't know if I'm allowed to do that.
So much logic.
I don't know if I'm allowed to do that, but I am. And then I've been waiting, like salivating for this album since then. And it didn't disappoint. And 2 years of straight hype is tough to live down.
Yeah.
It didn't disappoint me at all. I
think a strength of his as well. Wordplay. I think there's one line on the album where he mentions something about my vocab pays the rent or something.
Don't worry, I'm getting to it. It's coming. Yeah, he's got unbelievable wordplay.
Yeah.
He rhymes like not a lot of people rhyme anymore.
Yeah.
He rhymed like your MF Dooms, man. Like I'm struggling to think of anyone else who's really that as lyrical as Milo.
Oh.
Do you have any suggestions? There's no contraction for suggestion. I tried.
I mean, it depends on what type of lyricism you're talking about. If you're mentioning specific wordplay, then I guess maybe there aren't too many cats up there that are doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, so Open Mike Eagle came up with the term art rap. But I think Milo actually embodies it more. So he started in his earlier work, he was very abstract and like kind of absurd, you know, with his lyrics and his beats and everything. It was just like kind of weird and all over the place.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a lot to track about what was going on. But his lyrics have grown like more pointed and accessible, and his sound has grown with it at the same time. To that now, I think most people can listen to it. You don't have to be into this style of music specifically in order to love it. He raps about rap. He raps about his thoughts and the philosophies that shape those thoughts, and he raps about being an outsider in hip-hop, which is so weird because that's the most inclusive community there is now, because you've got all your lils, your pumps, your yachties, your peeps RIP. You've got freaking Post Malone out here saying that if you want good lyrics, don't listen to rap, still putting out successful rap music. It's not hard to be a rapper anymore if you have talent.
It's not.
But
even if you don't.
Even if you don't, which is part of the problem. But Milo, he's not like an alt-rap sad boy who like might bemoan their place outside like the lucrative mainstream or whatever. He's just as vicious as like your old school MCs, but he has lyrical prowess to back it up. Like, so the declaration of this album is that rap is art, yeah? And behind that is this other kind of flag that he plants in the ground, saying that art should be made to make good art and not for making money and not for creating a brand so that you can do this and you can have all these other, you know, hustles so that you're going to be comfortable for the rest of your life. And that's obviously not what everyone has to believe in. If you want to be comfortable. But that's what he believes in, and I think you feel it so much more strongly than you feel other messages and, you know, other albums. That's really cool. He opens the album with a James Baldwin recording about a poem on how he was saying that poets are really important in society, and the rest of the album just hammers it home and makes you believe it. He's got a line very early in the album where he says, "Why is your favorite rapper always bragging about her business acumen? Like we asked them. Why is your favorite rapper always babbling about his brand again?" That sounds like a fairly simple line, but as soon as you hear it, 7 names pop into your head about all these other rappers, and you're like, oh shit, this guy has some insights on the industry. Yeah. So this is someone who moved to LA and then left because he thought that the culture was toxic to his art. And I respect that so much. He doesn't conform to trends when it comes to his beats. It's very different. A lot of the production was done by him as Scallop's Hotel. That's his alter ego. He's got like smatterings of like Madlib and Jay Dilla, kind of like old school stuff. But then on other songs like Magician, Suture, I played that for you before the album. It's one of the singles. He's got like this loose jazzy feel. It's like the Roots, and he can rap rap over all of those because he's got like flows for days. He used to have this weird slam poetry kind of vibe where it'd be very like uneven and like 7 words in this syllable and then 2 over here, and then it was very choppy. But now he's like butter smooth. He like stacks syllables on top of one another, and then another minute he's like lagging lazily behind the beat with like so much swag. Oh, it's great. It's great. And I love MF Doom. I'm an MF Doom stan. So I like really nerdy or like out there references. Yeah. When I catch one, it makes me really happy inside and excited. And if that's what you're looking for, Milo is the rapper for you. Yeah. Because you've got like Aristotle, Nabokov, Nietzsche references. And then you've got Dragon Ball Z, Hunter x Hunter, Insane Clown Posse, Dungeons and Dragons, medieval history, all of these different things. And it's not that those become his punchlines. They just fill in organically. It's just part of this crazy flow that's just mixture, this magic cauldron of stuff that you can't find anywhere else. I'm gonna cry. It's not the most accessible listen. Yeah. It's not mainstream at all, which is my only gripe with it, I guess.
I mean, it's not really a gripe of an album in this genre. It's not.
And in a subjective list,
to have that
in a subjective list where it's not for other people, not a gripe at all.
Literally the definition. Yeah.
I guess there are some things where, like, if you're trying to shut your brain off, probably can't listen to it.
You can't, yeah.
But
Not great
man,
background music though.
no,
Yeah.
not at all. But like the balls on him with some of these bars that he's spitting on some of these beats, it's crazy.
I was blinded by the balls on that.
Like, it might take you a couple of listens to get to like the meat of the album because it's quite dense, but I think it's worth it. And that line that you were referencing is spit like Zadie Smith with a Jay-Z lisp, or like Jay-Z Smith, you could take your pick. The point is, my vocabulary pays my rent. Glorious. Absolutely glorious.
Wonderful.
And that's all I have to say about that.
That's all.
Make it sound like a little.
I know, I'm sorry.
Top 2 time. And at number 2, Kung Fu Kenny
Oh!
with Damn.
With Dan?
And I have a feeling he's your number 2 as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to stop you there because my number 2 is Kendrick Lamar. Damn. We have finally aligned on our list.
On our list, yeah. I mean, at this stage, there isn't much more we can say about Kendrick Lamar. I mean,
He's the guy.
He's the guy. He's in the GOAT conversation.
Most definitely.
Definitely in the GOAT conversation. And I think Damn is a great addition to his catalog.
It is.
I mean, it's maybe not the musical direction some people wished he would have gone. I know you feel like that. I know you feel like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, his lyricism, his bars are as polished as they've ever been on this album. I mean, I can't believe that he managed to keep the story on what's the closing track? Duckworth. The narrative on that track, that story, I can't believe he's managed to keep us from that story for so long. Like any other rapper would have dropped that story on their
Debut. Mixtape.
Yeah.
First mixtape. Yeah.
It's almost like he knew he was going to be.
He knew it.
He knew he was going to be, the best of our generation. And he saved that story for as long as he did. And then you've got that sort of, I think this track was compared to the storyline of Moonlight in the sense of its like progression. Fear.
Oh.
Because it covers 7-year-old Kendrick, 17-year-old Kendrick, 27-year-old Kendrick.
It does.
And the problems he dealt with at each of those.
Each stage.
And that's also another great way to structure a track. Something we haven't gotten from him in the past, I don't think.
And we're running out of things we haven't gotten from Kendrick Lamar. He's
Yeah,
given us
man,
everything he possibly could.
Yeah, I mean, we thought he ran out after To Pimp a Butterfly, for being honest, and he just keeps.
He didn't.
Yeah.
And I think that was the biggest question going into this album.
Could he sustain
How are
it?
you going to follow
Yes.
To Pimp a Butterfly? How are you going to follow the best rap album ever?
Yeah.
I know that is a controversial opinion, and
Yes,
there are
right,
many
but that
contenders, but
is-
in my
that is
opinion,
your opinion, yeah.
the best rap album I've ever listened to. And for me, thinking, wow, how is this guy going to come back at me after giving me the perfect rap album
Yes.
for me? And yeah, I guess the production maybe isn't exactly what I was looking for.
Did grow on you though.
It did grow on me, and
Yeah.
even if the only type of rap you want to listen to is from To Pimp a Butterfly, none of this is bad. No one
No.
can say that this is bad production.
definitely
and
not.
no one can ever say that it's bad rapping.
Yeah.
In fact, I think the only not really bad, but
subpar
questionable
Kendrick. Yeah.
is God.
Yeah.
But having
It's a bit
said
of a
that,
weird track, yeah.
But having said that, I thought that about God until I saw that being performed live. And I imagined being in that crowd. And I was like, oh,
You get it now.
that's why you did that. And there's you can't take the live element out of music. And, some of the best songs written don't really translate to the stage very well.
Yeah.
And God maybe isn't in anyone's top 5 songs on this album.
No, definitely not.
But you should definitely see it live because it looked amazing.
Yeah.
Love was probably my least favorite
Yeah.
song on this album. Everything else is damn near perfect.
Yes.
Element is the most memorable hook.
It's
in
hands
recent
down the
memory.
best hook of 2017.
Just unbelievable. We've been
Yeah.
trying to make it look sexy ever since it came out.
Yeah.
That has been the catchphrase.
Yes.
DNA. Good Lord.
So wasn't there some little detail that came out about that Mike Will had to give him more beats because he had so much bars,
Yeah,
so many bars.
The legend goes that Mike Will had the beat. He put it on. Kendrick did his first verse. The beat cut off. And then Kendrick a-cappellaed his second verse. No beat. Just a click. Oof. So just tick, 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 tick. Kendrick spazzing up on that second beat. And then Mike Will was like, I can't just loop that beat. That's not going to be okay. So what he did was he constructed the second half of the beat to
Yeah.
make it sound like Kendrick was
Switch
battling
up.
the beat.
Yeah. Okay.
And I feel like you feel that. Like there's definitely an element of tension and just violence in that second part. It's beautiful. Very cool.
Yeah.
What was the other Mike Will? Humble.
Yeah.
He made that for Gucci Mane originally.
Oh.
And
You didn't like this track?
yes, I think I didn't like it as a single. I think outside of the album, it sounded like a Gucci Mane track, I guess, and I guess that was the intention originally. It was a very, very much a mainstream rap song. It's not bad, and I think to say that it was bad because Kendrick was on a beat that I didn't particularly like is a bit of a rash decision.
Yeah.
Still good, still not vying for my favorite track on the album at all.
Have you heard it in a club setting?
I have not.
That would change your opinion.
It probably would. It probably would.
Oh, it's an experience.
I'm sure that bumps.
That's,
I'm sure that bumps.
And even like Yeah, which
Yeah.
is just
I didn't mind. Yeah, a lot of people found it annoying
how? On what level?
because the only criticism of Kendrick that has really stood the test of time is the nasal sound.
Okay.
A lot of people find that difficult to deal
Okay.
with. A lot of people said on To Pimp a Butterfly they couldn't handle You
Oh yeah.
because of just the level of the nasality that
yeah,
comes
yeah.
out with his emotion.
Yeah.
I don't. I think it's a humanizing factor. And, if he didn't have that nasal thing, he'd just be God because he's perfect. So can we let the guy have a break, please? It's beautiful and I like it. There's just some great Steve Lacy on my honorable mentions on that Pride track. Good Lord.
yeah. His influence is all over that track.
You can hear it
Yeah.
and it's beautiful. Still sounds like a Kendrick
Yes.
track. Terrace Martin on Loyalty.
Oh.
Woo!
Yeah.
Making a track which makes me enjoy Rihanna. Good on you. I think Rihanna's always best when she's rapping, not singing. But yeah. Loyalty, great track. Absolutely great track. Element had Soundwave on the beat along with James Blake.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. The combination you didn't know you
slaps.
needed.
Yeah.
Absolutely slaps. Best music video of the year. Element,
yeah.
by far.
Yes.
I mean...
In the running along with Kendrick's other videos.
Oh yeah, true. It's just Kendrick's videos and then Story of OJ. That's the possibles for best video of the year. Bad, Not Good, jumping on Lust.
On Lust, yeah.
The Alchemist on Fear.
That's a throwback.
Absolutely amazing. Alchemist showing us that he doesn't just get high with Action Bronson and watch Ancient Aliens. He also makes banging beats, which is great. Ninth Wonder, obviously, destroying Duckworth, bringing us that Hiatus Coyote sample. Those three switch ups.
Schizophrenic Kendrick at his best.
I can't even imagine being in a studio session with Kendrick.
Yeah, there was that
There was that
Vine
great
or that
Vine
video.
with that guy was saying like, okay, now you gotta on the second beat. So you want to give me 3 bars and then switch it
Switch up,
halfway
yeah.
and then it's just beautiful. A lot of rappers would put in this many switch ups and it would get jarring
Yeah.
and annoying.
I would love to see the process of making a track like that quick.
I
Unbelievable.
want to know.
Something I don't care for
Oh,
is that deluxe edition version he put out.
well, what the
It's
cover?
literally just the reverse track list. Literally. Like he didn't like make any
Not a
sort
lot of effort there.
Yeah.
Very much cash grab.
I was hoping for
Like
I don't
an
know,
extra track.
an extra track, an extra something. I don't know. Like yeah.
Oh, can we talk about the fan theories around that album? The Kendrick's gonna drop another album on Easter Sunday. He died at the end of this, so he's gonna be resurrected on Sunday with the second album.
Kendrick is God imagery again. Jesus.
Did anybody else get swept up in that? Because I did. Not because I believed it, but because I really wanted
it.
another Kendrick
Yeah.
project.
Yeah.
And I think
we all did.
I think it just speaks again to his influence that he can put like a very much subtle message in the album and people will run with it because Kendrick Lamar's, I don't want to say single-handedly, definitely not single-handedly, but one of the rappers today who are bringing back really dense, deep lyricism that calls for listen after listen after listen because there's stuff there. Guys like your Milos and your Kendricks and your Earl Sweatshirts, who didn't drop this year, but he just comes to mind. They make you want to go back and dive deeper, and I think that's great. I think what he's doing for hip hop is great, and I can't wait for 2019.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming we're going to get something in 2019. I'm just putting it out there. I hope.
Yeah, I don't think we'll get something this year. Yeah?
Doubt it.
I don't want us to get something this year.
Oh,
I'd
give
prefer
him
a
time.
Yeah. Which is also why I wasn't upset when those fan theories didn't come to fruition.
True.
Yeah, you know. Our favorite artists usually take a few years before they make something great.
This is true.
Yeah.
Well, here we are
Here we are.
at number 1.
Is it me? Am
It's
I
you.
going? It's me. Okay. My number 1 is Kalela, Take Me Apart. It's my album of the year. It is my favorite album of the year. And ultimately, I had to give this to an album that I came back to day after day after day, month after month, week after week. Wrong order there. But I just can't fault this album. It's everything I want from an R&B album. The production is sort of contrasts the lyrics in a way that the production sounds a bit futuristic, whereas the vocals are such a throwback to our Janet Jacksons, our Aaliyahs even, from the 90s. And that's something, that sort of vocal style that she's bringing here, I don't think that exists in any other. I think she's in her own lane right now in R&B in that sense. And just everything on this album just goes in. It's so personal as well. I mean, the title is what she's getting at here, you know? She wants you to get into her layers and she wants you to peel her like an onion. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Because you're going to cry. And yeah, even the
Oh shit, that's an Onion reference. Oh, look at you go. That flew right over my head first time around. I'm sorry. You deserve props for that. I'm sorry. I was going to let it go. I was like, oh wait. Okay.
And I mean, even if you see the video for LMK, she's trying to take us back as well, man. She's trying to take us back to those where R&B was at its peak in the late 90s. Which is probably my club banger of the year too, is LMK. Even the shorter tracks like SOS and Bluff, where it's sort of just her breezy vocals floating over the track. Sort of more what we got from her on her debut, which sort of let the instrumental shine. That album was basically a collection of great instrumentals, and her vocals were just slapped onto that, which was great, which was revolutionary. I think it was a bit of a trailblazer back then. But now she's taking center stage, man. She's taking center stage on this album. And I love it. I tracked her from that first. Okay, I only discovered her in 2015, but the progression from that first tape to now it's crazy. Hallucinogen EP in 2015, also one of my favorites of that year, and I still think the first 4 tracks of that EP is her best run.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is a great run. I'll give it that.
Man, you start off with the message and it finishes with All the Way Down, which absolutely slaps. But yeah, she's still very influenced by those Arca beats. Arca also should have been on my honorable mentions list because I really dig him. I think the soundscapes he manages to put out on his records are something that I don't think anyone else is doing. And I think he's influenced artists like FKA Twigs as well as Kelela. He's worked a lot with Bjork as well. And yeah, man, like his influence is all over this album. The title track, Take Me Apart, probably my track of the year, simply because I listen to it every damn day.
Okay.
It just transports me. It's beautiful. It's absolutely wonderful. It's like you're in the middle of the ocean and you're sort of just getting like washed over by all these. It's fantastic. And yeah, that's my album of the year, man. And
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I don't want to take anything away from your number one. I'm just going to leave that there. That sounds like that changed your life.
It really did, man. I can't. I'm not doing it justice here. I don't have a coherent way to describe just how much I enjoyed this album, but I did. The singles leading up to it were perfect, and when the album came, there were even more tracks that were better than the singles, which I thought would be impossible. And it's my album of the year. Yeah.
Well, my number one, my album of the year.
Holy crap! It just dawned on me.
You just realized was I deluxe editioned your list, and it's your number 10.
That's crazy.
Is Everything a Fever Dream?
You enjoyed this album that much?
Yeah, I did. A Fever Dream by Everything. Their 4th studio album, and as far as I can tell, not one of critically and fan-wise people's favorites.
Yeah.
Of theirs, and I don't understand why. They're a great band, obviously. You love them.
I do. They're fantastic.
Get to Heaven was a great album.
That was your entry to them, right?
That was my entry to them.
Yes.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
You introduced them to me, and then I heard them on the FIFA soundtrack. And
what was on the FIFA soundtrack again?
To the plane,
Oh yeah.
I think.
No, it was. I can't remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Distant Past. There we go.
Distant Past.
Yes.
It was Distant Past.
Yeah.
This album. So I think a big part of why people like Everything is they're very frenetic,
Yes.
energetic,
Yes.
hard-hitting, switch up, math rock / art pop / God knows synth-based. Oh,
Anything.
Church's influenced, just crazy. Church's influence.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah.
And I did love that. I like that. And I didn't realize that if they just focused it down and melted it down into just a slightly smoother, more well thought out version of those kind of instrumentals, that I would love it even more.
Yeah.
Something about this album really made the message hit me more, really took me to a different place than their previous albums, because their previous albums are just so much damn fun. I sometimes don't even hear what I'm saying. I hear myself singing along to Habsburg Lip and being like, what am I saying? What is this song even? I don't know.
That is true.
Whereas this album, I have never been hit with so much, commentary. And a big part of why I like this album is, I think we mentioned it earlier, political albums are not my thing.
No.
They really aren't.
Not my thing either.
And yet, the way that it's presented, something about, oh good lord, I'm forgetting his name. Jonathan Higgs. Whew. Something about the way that he delivers and the way that he writes lyrics, which is absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Like Milo, I love the way that he throws in crazy references to like history and weird pop
There are
culture
loads
stuff.
of those.
It's
in
great.
all of the albums.
It's great, yeah. And then the way that he does that is great. And then I feel like I didn't even realize that lends itself so much to political commentary.
Yeah.
And so much to saying a message that is like, I don't know. I feel like we're part of an apathetic generation simply because we're the first ones to have so much social media and so much exposure that it gets to a point where you're like, I don't really want to see another thing about Trump, and I don't really want to hear another person talking about the university fees. Not because, these are bad things to talk about, not because they're not important, but because when we're sounding off on each other on social media and, in person or whatever, we're not making an impact. We tend not to take a step towards making an impact. It's just a lot of noise.
And a lot of hate. But
I didn't feel like that with this album, and oh man, I liked a political album, and that's just so crazy for me. The opener is the strongest opener to a MF album in I don't know how long. Night of the Long Knives, so damn good. Oof. So damn good. I literally fell off my chair. Literally fell off my chair the first time I listened to it. I'm not even joking. It's a wheelie chair. I'm on tiles in my bedroom.
Oh.
It's difficult. I fell off.
It's a hard surface to fall on, man. Yeah.
Absolutely crazy. That first and it prepared me for what was coming, which was, we're still gonna hit you, we're still gonna give you everything, but just be ready for this descent into madness. And as that note just kind of dropped down on me and scooped me up, I really was put into a fever dream, which is what this was. And talking about soundscapes, when we were talking about King Cruel, and he's one of my favorite, and he's someone I think who does it really well. They really hit that this time, and their songs, like I said, were always fun and cool, but now they were just these pods of different worlds that they would take you, talking about whatever it is that he's talking about. Then you're there, and it's not even like you feel like he would feel. I honestly feel like I was there, seeing things, watching things, listening to Night of the Long Knives. I honestly felt like I was in some weird town and there was a genocide happening. I could feel it. I could hear like boots marching and doors being kicked in and stuff.
Political music at its best.
Bro, Ivory Tower, listening to Ivory Tower, I immediately got transported into every annoying, heated debate that went too far that I've been in my life. Left versus right, freaking liberals versus conservative. I was there. I was in it. And that's what this album did, man. The arrangements, they're not all over the place anymore. They're super focused. Usually a band playing it more straight would be negative for me. But it just pulled into focus their sound and their lyrics, and I absolutely loved it. I don't really know what else to say except that it affected me on an emotional level, and I had to put it there.
Yeah, that's what you should be expecting from your number one pick.
It's true.
So there you have it.
Here we are. Got through it. We did it.
Yeah.
If you're still listening, well done. That was very long.
That was very long. That was much longer than we intended it to be. But yeah, I am 100% happy with my list, and I can't have really any complaints about yours.
Yeah. I feel exactly the same.
2 solid lists, some decent overlap, and some really good differences that show our different tastes. You know? Yeah.
Like a fading movie franchise, you could say that our lists were divergent.
Ooh.
I know.
Different podcast.
Different podcast for a different day. I'm excited for 2018. I don't know about what music's coming out this year. I don't have a lot of line of sight on upcoming projects.
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
I think we're getting another Kanye album. I think we are.
And I'm fairly certain we're getting a Schoolboy Q album.
Yeah, because he was supposed to drop this year, wasn't he?
Yeah, he said his stuff was ready. It is TDE though. We waited 4 years for that SZA album.
Yeah.
Who knows when we'll get Schoolboy Q.
Yeah.
But he's bankable, so maybe he'll drop soon.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I guess we'll just have to watch this space. And yeah, we're going to be doing more podcasts on, movies, possibly series. We'll definitely be hitting more music stuff up.
Yeah.
We do this because we love the music.
We do.
And we think it's important. It's important to us at least. So,
Yeah.
yeah. That's what it is. Thanks for
That is what it
listening.
is. Thank you for listening.
Buckle your seatbelts. Tip your waiters, everyone.
And stay tuned for our top 10 movies list.
Coming soon, relatively.
Oh, relatively.
But time isn't real. Nothing is real. Why are you
it's
still
just
listening
a
to this?
Man-made construct.
Go trip somewhere, man. If you're in Cape Town, psychedelics are easy to come by. Thank you and good night.